Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to continue with Mariah Carey's album cycle with her 9th album, Charmbracelet. Yeah, the Glitter era was a disaster. After Glitter, her contract with Virgin was bought out for $28 million. Mariah was signed another deal with Island, but instead of tapping into modern trends, she decided to tap into some of her deeper works. So what the people think? This is Mariah's most personal album to date. Let's take a look. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. The lead-off single for this project, and it's probably the least known lead-off single to this point. Am I the only one that's reminded of Mariah's theme from Rainbow? It's an inspiration song that shined a light on her tumultuous 2001. Honestly, Mariah's done better, again Mariah's theme, but the song's still good, but it doesn't go beyond that. Jermaine Dupri returns for this one, and one thing Jermaine knows how to do is bring the best out of Mariah. Well, I'm not sure about this one either. He starts the song off with a spoken interlude as he dedicates this song to anyone who has been hurt by past relationships, and Mariah is one of those who has been hurt in past relationships. She's tired of playing in this game but believes that this could be the one. But I don't know, I feel like the song could be on the Mimi album, and I feel like this is a therapy session for a song. Not a bad idea, I'm just lukewarm on this as a whole. It's okay at best. This does have something going on production, which was done by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, like most of this album. However, this one feels very Janet Jackson-esque of this era. And that's not a bad thing, because Janet was still popular in that era. But this song had me feeling nothing. Even the content isn't interesting, just leave me empty and not in a good way. Back to the hip-hop collabs, this one features Freeway and Jay-Z. The former I'm not familiar with, and this is another semi-dud here. Freeway just decides to drop Mariah references, then say he's Honey and she's Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, very corny. And Jay-Z, he said his love will stick like Velcro, and I know, and all the Jay-Z fans out there, he was taking the time recovering from getting ethered by Nas. Those bars like that was going to happen. But let me say this. What made Heartbreaker, the previous Hov and Mimi collab, work was the chemistry. This time there's little to none. And oh yeah, I'm not a fan of the chorus either. In other words, not saying it's bad, it's not memorable for me to care. At this point, I'm still looking for a song that sticks with me. And this one might be one of the first. And one of the reasons why I feel like this is because it feels like an old school Mariah song, My All-esque. For the first time, Mariah's able to shine vocally, as up until this point she's been using the whisper tone. 2, she only wanted her man to stay, and that's all she wanted. And now, is it better than My All? No. But is there quality to this? Yes. So I'll take it. And this brings us to Clown. And everyone should know that this is a diss track towards Eminem. I mentioned this on my Mariah bio that the two had a kinship, but it soured. Eminem decided to diss Mariah on the song Superman, and Mariah wanted the opportunity to clap back. Well, Mariah talked about the first encounter and how it shouldn't have become more of that. And Mariah's kind of pressed because she drops the F-bomb during the first verse, her first. She also calls Eminem a novelty act that's not gonna stick around, and mentions Without Me because what happens when the star of the show goes down. But there's one tiny problem with this song. Mariah's vocals, as once again she's using the whisper tone. Maybe it's me because I rarely hear diss songs where it isn't rapper versus rapper, but in all, I appreciate the effort. This could have been better. Just saying. It's been a minute since Mariah tapped into the gospel elements, and this might be the best song on the album. Sure, gospel songs aren't for me, but it's the most vocally sane she's been on this album. The content is self-explanatory, and while this is interpolating towards Jesus Christ, the non-religious folks might interpolate this as a significant other, but Mariah made sure this is about the Lord on that last line. And while this might not be a song I'll go back to often, but if I'm feeling discouraged, I wouldn't oppose, and it just goes to show you that there's no shame on calling on his name. The first thing that comes to mind was the Nothing But a G Thing sample, and once again the sample is doing all the work, and there isn't much else to this. You'll only remember the song from the sample, and I'll close by saying this. Who told Mariah to whistle register on the notable keys? Y'all know the whole beginning riff of the Nothing But a G Thing. But other than that, there's nothing to this. Let's move on. And for a song called Lullaby, I expect to be put to sleep towards this, but it doesn't. The song is about Derek Jeter, and how I know? Because in the second verse she mentions The Roof, which was also about Derek Jeter. Can't confirm if they were together at this time. The song is, well, I will say the song's kind of a pivot. The production is able to match the whisper singing, even if the song's 5 minutes long. I wouldn't call this great, but I think there's enough quality to make this good. First thing that comes to mind is the Ice Cube sample, and like with the previous West Coast songs she put up to this point, they do little to elevate, even if I think this is the best of the bunch. Mostly for West Side Connection, even if Ice Cube's verse feels very stiff. But once again, the song does little to excite me. Good on the ears, but not much else is countering it. 12 songs in, and I found only a few songs that stuck around. But this is one of the few that actually stuck. One question I asked myself, why is the song called Subtle Invitation even if those words are never said in the song? Cause in the chorus she says if your girl becomes a heartbreaker or mistreating you, Mariah would invite you to the Mariah experience. The most memorable part of the song is the traditional R&B production, old school and authentic. And there might not be much to go back from this album, but this song might be the one. Go back and re-listen to this one. Our cover song of the day comes from Def Leppard. Mariah must have a thing for these rock songs, but the original that I never heard of until now, I find it very interesting. Mariah's cover, I'm okay with this too because she made it her own. Even if this song feels American Idol-esque, I can hear how this song could be sung on that show. Does the song overshadow the original? I'll say to an extent, but I think both versions are good. I'll take it. This song talks about her father. He passed away during the making of this album, and I mentioned many times that Mariah had a strained relationship with her father, and I was unsure that if she had contact with him during his final days, but in this song, Mariah makes peace. Sure, she was bitter in the past, but realized that it's pointless to hold grudges. The song itself, I wouldn't put this in dance with my father territory, but it's very heartfelt. I consider this a good close. That's what I would have said if Mariah tacked on the remix of the lead-off single. And while I loved hearing Joe's voice again, it does little. Stick to the original. And that concludes this album review. And let me say this, with every Mariah review I've done to this point, I've been familiar with at least one song. This was the first time in her cycle at least that I wasn't familiar with any of the songs on this album. Throughout this process, I figured out the biggest problem with this album. Every song on here would be fillers on any other Mariah album, with few exceptions. So with that being said, 6 out of 10 for Charmbracelet. They're just not much for me to look at or grip. It's just an average album. Now her next album, her 10th, The Emancipation of Mimi, Mariah's comeback album. And that concludes the Charmbracelet review. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. What is some of your favorite songs from this album? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.